everyone, and welcome to Show Us Your Insides, episode 4.
Yes.
And today we have with Owen, I'm Joel, one of your hosts, and we also have with us...
Joshua.
Schwa's good.
Schwa. We were just talking before the show that maybe we'll change our names to some Denim. Denim Incorporated somehow in there.
Right. Yeah, because we did just so happen to show up. Well, you took your hat off. So Josh showed up and he also had like a black trucker hat on, and we were like,
we didn't want to wear the same thing.
Switch it up a little.
Yeah.
But anyway, so today we're really happy to have with us Danielle Doiron, who is a artist, creative, musician, songwriter, singer, actor, had some dancing experience, some experience with violin. You play ukulele, guitar. Do you play piano at all?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the first instrument I started playing when I was a kid.
Okay, so like a well-versed kind of multi-instrumentalist.
Yeah.
And I met Danielle through, I think, one of the open mics, and then we've since, hung out a few times, and I've been to some of your shows, and just an amazing musician. You collaborate locally with some different musicians from time to time. So that's Danielle, and we're really happy to have you with us, and excited to talk to you a little bit. I guess let's kick it over to you, and if I missed anything, or tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for that nice intro. It's interesting just chatting quickly before this, and like, oh yeah, do you do this? And I was like, oh yeah, I guess I do. I did used to dance, although I never at a really high professional level, but I did some ballet as a teenager, and I always wanted to take ballet actually, and then finally when I was like 15 for 4 years I took it, and I've had some other dance experience and did swing dancing and ballroom lessons back when I lived in Montreal. That was really fun. I would love to continue that, take it up again. But yeah, lately it's just been music and songwriting, and I mostly write for guitar now, but also a bit of ukulele, and I do play some piano. I don't play at a very high level of piano, but I do love the piano. That was the first instrument I ever learned, and my dad is a really accomplished piano player, and he taught me when I was pretty little.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I just like growing up, like I think of Saturday mornings. It's like hearing my dad play jazz on the piano. It was great.
Wonderful.
Fairly influential.
Yeah. So
Saturday morning, I remember my dad being like, no, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Dad.
Breakfast.
Just kidding. Yeah. Hope didn't pick up the Lego.
But parents would make some interesting music while stepping on Lego. So you've got some history. So I wanted to mention, Josh, maybe you mentioned too, like that we're one of our partners there.
Yes. We're going to be on YouTube, but we're also going to be broadcasting through CHSR 97.9 FM in Fredericton, New Brunswick. That is the campus station. We love them. They're a huge supporter of the local music scene, and I'm sure we've all benefited in some way from their selfless and generous, they do this because they love it, and we certainly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It definitely helps people take things to the next level sometimes, right?
Yeah. It's always cool, like, just to have that for musicians to have something played on the radio is really cool. So the fact that CHSR is like kind of one of those places that will spin some artists when other stations might be hard to access, and they're very accessible for artists, and they're very supportive. So it's super cool, and we're happy to be able to feature through them, and also, like, you might be watching this on YouTube. Who knows? It might be at some point on iTunes, or I know we can have these on the streaming platforms as well. So once we figure that out, you just never know where Danielle's
going to be. With microphones.
Anywhere they can put microphone interviews. So Danielle, what's kind of you mentioned your dad would play jazz music and was a trained pianist. So, like, what other kind of influence did you have musically? Why is this one of your passions?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can remember being like 3-4 years old and listening to music. Like both my parents, actually, they loved music, and we would just listen to records or tapes, or I used to back in the olden days with TV, when there'd be like the station that had all the stations.
Yes.
They would play music on it, and I remember being like 3-4 years old and just like sitting in front of the TV listening to those
like the
songs.
scrolling guide music?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And like dancing around, and
That's
yeah,
a cool
so
memory,
it was just something that I was really surrounded by, and it seemed really normal to me. It wasn't until I got much older that I realized, oh, not everybody, some people don't even really listen to music, which that's just,
do not compute on
life,
that. But
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just also I'm from Nova Scotia originally, so
cool. What part?
From Dartmouth.
Okay, right
yeah.
on,
So
cool.
I grew up in Dartmouth, and the dark side, and but have a lot of.
I love Dartmouth. My uncle used to live there.
I love it too.
People moving in with their shopping carts. And stuff. It was just had a nice. I like the feel of it.
It's
honestly,
gotten super cool, honestly. Like, the downtown Dartmouth is where it's at. You have like the ferry, you can head over to Halifax, but you got like all the cute spots. But yeah, and I have a lot of family from Cape Breton, so like that sort of Celtic vibe, like that. I grew up with a lot of that, and started playing violin when I was 10, and actually I now have my great grandfather's fiddle.
Wow.
Oh wow.
That
That's
I
very
play.
cool.
So I'm rusty these days, but I played for 9 years, and
Wow.
played in an all-city orchestra, and for 8 years, like the orchestra, and I
Wow.
loved the violin.
Where-
I'm
Are you 79 years old?
Yeah, in the past, you played like for 9 years in an orchestra.
Yeah, earlier we were like, you're acting, music, and everything. And she's like, well, let me see. Like, yeah. No, that's cool though. It's like you're really like a conduit for self-expression, and that's I love that. Yeah.
It's so wild to, like, now when I pick it up, it's just like the muscle memory, like, and when I play standing, like, I'm just like moving around, and it's really funny. But that was really one of my first loves, the violin.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Cool.
Yeah.
It's a tough instrument to play.
Yeah.
I didn't seriously try to play violin, but I peripherally like had a violin for a while that I borrowed from someone. Was like, yeah, I can try to.
It's fun to make a clean sound on it.
Yeah, if you can make a clean sound.
Yeah.
If you get one of the, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
And it's not just like.
I like to just be like. I have one hanging up in my shed that it's like a Frankenstein. It's like a 3/4 size, and it was missing the tailpiece, so I put like a bolt in it and stuff. But it looks kind of cool on the wall, but I don't really play it.
Yeah, it's a tough one. So like, it's one of those ones where because there's no frets, right? You're
Yeah.
just finding your positioning, and like you mentioned, muscle memory.
Yeah.
So much of it is like you got to know where your hand is on the neck
for
of
sure.
it, because otherwise you're between notes.
Yeah, and like as a kid, like they put sort of like tape on it so
Yeah.
you can know, but then eventually you just kind of like learn.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, these days I'm a bit rusty, but I still take it out from time to time, and I just kind of play for myself and not, when there's too many neighbors around.
Well, that's cool that you could listening to your first like recording on Bandcamp, which was wonderful, by the way.
Oh, thank you so
so
much.
good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I could totally see you in the future, like, complimenting your own guitar with some fiddle or something. I think it would pair really well with your style and your voice too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know if I'm jumping in a bit here, but I did record 4 tracks recently, and
awesome.
one of them I do have somebody playing fiddle on one of the tracks.
Nice.
Yeah, so.
That's amazing. We'll definitely get into we'll talk a little more about that for sure. So now you find yourself in Fredericton, which is where we're based out of. So what kind of brought you here, and how did you get into the music scene here?
So, great question. I was living in Toronto for 5 years when the pandemic hit. Well, I guess 4.5 years, the pandemic hit, and then 6 months of the pandemic. And I had been pursuing acting for a long time, and just getting a little bit tired with, living with 3 roommates and the high cost of living there. And with the pandemic, I lost my job. I was, working in catering and pursuing acting at the same time, and eventually got a remote job. And then I decided, okay, I want to move out. Like, you know, I'd like to live on my own. But really, like with the pandemic, I was like, you know, I really, just not a lot going on for me right now in Toronto. It'd be nice to come back to the East Coast. So one of my sisters, I have two sisters who live in New Brunswick, one in just outside Fredericton and one in Woodstock of New Brunswick. And the one in Woodstock had sent me this list of like the cheapest places to live in Canada, and she'd sent me that over the summer. And one of the places was St. John, New Brunswick, which I'd done a couple of theater festivals in, and I liked it there. And I'd always talked, I really like it in St. John, and still had some contacts there. And so when I got this remote job, I was thinking, you know what? I think I might move to St. John. The rent is cheap. I can afford it. And it's pretty close to Fredericton, not far from family in Nova Scotia. And so that's what I did. Cool. And it was great because they had the Atlantic bubble. Well, I quarantined first in Dartmouth. I did my 2-week quarantine and was there for a bit, then came to St. John in early November of 2020. And then very shortly after, Atlantic bubble burst. And I spent 6 months being very isolated and alone and, you know, pretty much having...
In a new place.
Yeah, in a new place. And the few contacts I had, of course, it was just very tough. You know, we couldn't really see anybody. So by the end of that 6 months, I decided that I'd move to Fredericton. Be actually closer to my sisters, and just that's it. It's been almost 3 years, so
cool. And then, I mean, for me, because like I said, I think I met you at an open mic somewhere. Did I meet you at an open mic?
Yeah, I'm not sure, because you had reached out to me via Instagram asking if I would open for you guys.
Oh yeah, that's how we started talking.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think if we maybe met before then, or I'm not sure.
That's a good question. But yeah, so I guess maybe even just for me, like I had kind of seen your name, seen some stuff about you playing shows. And so whether I met you at an open mic or it was shortly after that I kind of ran into you at open mic.
Yeah.
I think you became kind of like a staple of the open mic scene.
Yeah, definitely.
To a point where like you kind of established yourself very quickly as someone who was very like talented and gifted and great songwriter.
Thank you.
Kind of, so when I'd go out, I'd see you there, and then very quickly started getting booked on some different shows and stuff like that. So how did that, when you moved here, did you immediately hit the open mic scene? How did that go?
Yeah, I moved here, May of 2021, and there wasn't a lot going on at first, and but pretty much like that fall, like during harvest, there was an open mic at the Muse, and I did that open mic, and it went really well, and I met some really nice people. And through there was like, I think I went once or twice back to the Muse and a couple other open mics, but things were still very like touch and go, kind of open, closed with the pandemic. But then in January of 2022, I really started going like every week to the Cap and to Grimross open mic, and sometimes the Muse, and really like, because I was working remotely and I was living alone, so it was also a way to just meet people and make friends. For sure, like I really did. I had one friend that I knew from Toronto who now lived back in Fredericton, and my sister. But I really didn't have like many people.
It's still a new place for you, really. Wow, that's like two new places in New Brunswick. So have you ever lived in New Brunswick before?
No.
That's like pretty bold. Like pandemic kind of stuff, and you're like, I'm going to the East Coast.
Yeah.
And you hit up like two of the major cities. Yeah. And you just integrated like amazingly. Like,
thank you.
That's a good point too, actually, is that like when I met you and even saw you playing shows and stuff like that, I hadn't seen you before. It was not like that happens sometimes. Fredericton's like big enough that's but like when I met you, I felt like you were already so well rooted. It felt like that you like knew a lot of people, that you were connected, that a lot of people were inspired by you, or you were inspiring other people, like that you fit so well into that creative scene here, the music scene, that you felt like you were like, that you were always there. Well,
I really felt like Fredericton just opened its arms and like took me in. I really love the people in the music scene here. Like they've been so good to me. And that's just it, like through open mic, just meeting people and connections. And that's how I got like my first like bunch of shows, just through people I met through there, like be it the host or other musicians, and just willing to give me opportunities, which was pretty awesome because like,
you
really
seem so hard to get
me.
along with. I can't believe how. Actually, I met a guy who's a friend of my brother's. I don't know if I should mention his name or not. He might think it's cool. I think it was Thomas Anderson, actually, if you know him. And he was a huge fan of yours. So I just want you to know that like he's like, I got into like local music because of I heard her play and was like floored.
That's so nice.
So
my gosh.
Yeah, and that stuck with me, and I was like, that's really cool. And I actually saw you at one of the Hanson Road flower shop sessions, which I love because I could bring my kids to. It was early. Just nice, a cool place, right? And we've all probably played there, I guess. And I saw you play, and it was awesome. Actually, it was Jason Robichaud.
Yeah.
And he asked someone to come up and do this. He was like, "Yeah, come up and do a song." And I don't know what song you played, but it was awesome. It was something about a boyfriend.
Was it the "Don't Go Out with Her"? Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, the sing along.
Is that your song?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that song.
Thank you so much.
It was so, and everyone was singing along. And like, they probably never heard it before. Like some of the people, right?
Yeah.
And I hadn't.
That's
and
huge.
That's a big deal. Like by by the second chorus, we're all singing along.
Yeah.
So you definitely seem like can connect with people.
Thanks.
Easily. So it was a really great show.
Yeah, I try. And that song, it's so satisfying when people sing along because it really is about like a crush that I had and and unrequited love.
Oh, it's got such a great...
But I got a good song.
It's got a great humor to it. Like kind of like a John Prine. I'll mention him a lot because I like him as a songwriter. But yeah, no, that was a really cool song.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, I think, I mean, that's probably pretty quick for people. Like you were saying, like it's funny because from your perspective, like, oh, people were really nice and like opened their arms to me, but it's also you're very talented, and I think like when people recognize that, it's people want to root for you, and I mean obviously people are kind too, but I did see that you were getting booked on a few things. I think last year you might have done the Snow Globe with Shivering Songs. Was
in 2023.
Yeah, and then did you do a showcase? Any of the Harvest stuff?
I did the Fredericton Own Stage.
Yeah. Right. So those are like a couple big ones.
Oh, it was awesome.
Shivering Songs and Harvest are like two of the major kind of local.
Oh, that's the
for
highest.
You to get those. And then there was another show you played that was pretty. You didn't do the Playhouse, did you? Did you do the Playhouse?
No.
I feel like it was something like a big venue that you played, you and Ted.
Oh well, we.
Did you do Charlotte Street Arts Center?
We did, for a Women's Day event last year, and then also fall of 2022. What's it called? Fest Forward.
Oh yes.
We did Fest Forward.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I'm remembering that because I saw you on a big stage. Like, where was that? But I saw the video of Fest Forward.
Yes.
Which was also really great.
Which is so cool. Yeah.
Oh, you did awesome. So really. That's crazy, right? Like
basically, what we're saying is that you're amazing.
Yeah, like
we just trapped you here to like make you feel so awkward.
I'm literally like, you guys are at the door. I can't get out.
Like blocking you in here.
That's
like,
okay.
Yes, don't murder me.
But it's very cool. I mean, like I think that like that's a testament to your talent and your songwriting, and it's very authentic. And we talk about that a lot, but when it comes to your singing and like your songwriting, like that song, like did you always write song? Like, were you one of those kids that would kind of walk around and be like, I'm walking around?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like at camp, being like, okay, like what's our like 10th song gonna be? Make up a song for like our.
Okay.
Yeah.
My daughters are like that too.
Yeah.
So really, like your music, your like need to express that has been pretty true to like who you are.
I think so, yeah. And I mean, even when I was younger too, like before I was really playing guitar or ukulele even, I would sometimes write songs, but I wouldn't show them to anybody. Like I would just like write them in my room and sing as quietly as possible.
I feel like we all kind of did that to some degree.
I remember like I was older, like I didn't think that was like music was a thing I could do until I was like older. Like somebody was like, you should do it, right? I was like, I can do that, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, I remember I was still living home and I like wrote like a poem or something, and my parents were like, what is this? And they're like, I think they were like genuinely like were concerned, like did you write this? What's wrong with you? You wrote this like poem thing? And I was like, yeah. I was like, it was kind of cool actually. So, and I was like hooked from there, but I was not very old when that happened. So anyways, I can relate to that is what I'm getting at. Keeping it in your bedroom for a while because it's definitely that stage where, you don't feel ready to share it probably right yet.
And I think like I don't know, had a lot of feelings that I didn't necessarily want to show. So
fair enough.
Keep it all inside. And then, I would sometimes let it out in that or in journal entries or things like that.
Well, how often do journal entries become songs for you? Or do they cross over at all?
You know what? That's a really good question, but actually, I don't think they do cross over. Although maybe sometimes, like, I'll get the an idea. Yeah, I'm sure that has happened. But then I'll kind of go to my songwriting book instead. Because when I journal, I kind of just like freehand, like free flow, and it's like very messy and a
lot of words.
Yeah,
just
not very legible.
Yeah, I know that feeling. It's interesting that like when you journal, you're not. When you write a song, maybe not for you. You tell me if this is true for you or not. But like when you write a song, it's often the case that you are to some degree considering an audience.
Oh yeah.
Whereas like when you journal, you're just like, this needs to come out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although when I journal, sometimes I get really afraid that I'm like somebody somewhere is gonna accidentally read it. So I'll like sometimes I'll like write code words or something.
I've done that before. Actually,
interesting.
I don't know. But then sometimes I just let it all out.
Yeah. Well, your songwriting, like, so, from someone who's heard your music, like it though sounds vulnerable. Like it's not like you're. Yeah, I wouldn't say you hold back a lot in your songwriting. It's thank you. I think I try to be really vulnerable, and that's just, I guess, the style that's worked for me. Yeah. And it does help me kind of, go, like, when you're dealing with different things in your life, like writing songs about it really helps.
Absolutely. Like you said, you were writing them in your room, but not sharing them. Like, that's the most important part, I think.
Yeah.
For me, like, growing up, I didn't like talking about feelings with anybody, especially my family. So that if I could write something out, it would make more sense to me, I think. Right?
Totally.
Personally, but
yeah, for sure.
Totally.
Yeah. So I want to, because we'll talk about the more recent songs you've recorded, that none of that's been released yet, right?
No,
so that's
not
exciting,
yet.
But we can talk a little bit about it. But a song that people can check out your Bandcamp and totally go check out Danielle's Bandcamp. But there's a song on there that's gotten a little bit of radio play, The Middle of the Night, which Josh brought up that we were listening to beforehand. I do want to throw to that, and that actually gives us a chance to check that camera too. Physically
on our bubbly cam up here.
Yeah, that's still set up, right?
Bubbly.
They're going to sponsor us eventually.
Or cease and desist.
Yeah,
it's one way or the other.
Yeah.
They're like, listen, denim dudes, we don't want to be associated.
We don't want to be associated with denim. It's too navy colored.
Michael Bublé hates denim.
I've never seen the guy. He's kind of like a, suave type dude.
Crooner.
I saw him once at the 2006 Junos in Halifax on the red carpet. I was watching from afar, but I saw him.
Still cool. I would be excited. Right now I'm like, Michael Bublé. If I saw him, I'd probably be like, oh my God.
My Michael Bublé story. Yeah, he was dating Emily Blunt at the time, and she was there with him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She's a huge star.
I saw them both.
Although he's really done it's pretty cool when we always as Canadians feel proud when fellow Canadians really make it.
Yeah.
I was like, they're Canadian, and we always have to make sure we remind people they're Canadian.
Yeah.
It's like it's my accomplishment too. Okay. Right?
It's communal.
I'm from the same country. Okay.
It's even more like Maritimers. We're like, and from the Maritimes.
Yeah,
that's true.
Well, that's very rare, isn't it? Though, right?
But so I do want to throw to the song, and then I can switch out the camera too. But do you want to set it up quickly? So it's called The Middle of the Night.
Yeah, it's called Middle of the Night.
Middle of the Night.
And it's about all those thoughts that you have running through your brain in the middle of the night. And the title, I guess that's pretty much it.
Yeah. How long ago was that one written?
Oh, that was one of the first songs I wrote. First songs I wrote, and I was going to an open mic. It was my second open mic in Toronto, and I didn't want to sing the same songs I sung the week before because I was like, I couldn't possibly sing the same songs. That's so embarrassing. And I had this song, and it was almost finished, and so I wrote the last verse like a few hours before going to the open mic, and then I sang it there. Yeah, that was probably 2017.
Okay.
Oh, cool. And that was probably a cool moment to play. Was that like the first time you played your own song?
I played a few open mics in Halifax, which I lived in like from, I don't know, 2013 to 2015. I'd gone to a few open mics there and maybe one or two in Montreal that I lived in before that. But Toronto was really when I started like hunkering down, and that was, it was like a New Year's resolution that I made. I'm like, I'm going to open mic, and
cool.
It's like the first week in January, and I ended up meeting all these super nice people like the first week I went, and they were like, oh, be in our open mic messenger chat group. And
right on.
They're like, we just like chat about going to open mics. And so
that's cool. That's
like,
an amazing thing
yeah.
about, that music stuff is meeting nice people. And like, I met Joel at a show, and
the
community
got to meet you there. And so many people, so many people that I would consider friends now.
Yeah.
Right? Just through the magic of music.
Yes, indeed. Yep. It is a magical thing.
Let's listen to your song.
Let's listen to the song. So Middle of the Night, which is on Bandcamp, but let's listen to it now, and then we'll come back.
It's the middle of the night. I can't sleep. I lay in bed wondering where things went wrong. I think of all the times that I made empty promises, going round in circles 'cause I'm too afraid. And I think about all the opportunities I say no to. And I think about all the people I shut out. And I think about all my dreams I have forgotten. And I think about what will happen if I don't change. It's the middle of the night. I'm awake. I try to ease my mind from all my pain. I try to talk some sense into my lonely heart, going round in circles 'cause I'm too afraid. And I think about all the opportunities I said no to. And I think about all the people I shut out. And I think about all my dreams I have forgotten. And I think about what will happen if I don't change. It's hard to let it go at the end of the night, but sun's coming through my window. It's the end of the night. I'll leave it on my pillow, but I know tomorrow night I'll go around in circles if I don't change.
And that was Middle of the Night by Danielle Doiron. We were just talking about the last name, Doiron. and like your history of your last name, and then I had to like bring it back with that.
No, but it's true. Like everybody in my family says it differently.
Do they? Okay, that makes me feel better.
Yeah, I grew up doing French immersion since primary, so I've always been Danielle Doiron. Like it's just it's so weird if I were to, and I mean if people pronounce it English, that's fine, but it just would be so weird for me to be like, I'm Danielle Doiron. Like it's weird, but like literally some of my family say Doiron, some say Doiron. Like it's like.
Does anyone say Doran?
Dorian.
No. And Dorian never. Although actually I shouldn't say never, because actually one of my uncles, who is a musician, he lives in the States and he legally changed his last name to Dorian. Oh. Because people just mispronounced his last name and misspelled it. And
they don't have the French unless you're in like Louisiana or something. You don't. You're never going to pronounce it French, so it's always going to be like Dorian.
So he legally changed it.
Wow, that's really interesting.
So, but that was middle of the night. We talked a little bit about that song before we cut to the song, but so that was. I was going to ask you though. The recording, it's pretty like stripped back, kind of like. Yeah. So, what was the process of that?
So all the songs, this was like a self-released EP that I did. And basically I just wanted to have something online that I could kind of bring. I put it all together right before leaving St. John and coming to Fredericton. And I knew that there was sort of some music opportunities there. So I wanted to have something online to show for myself. But yeah, the songs, they're all kind of recorded. A couple of them actually were recorded when I still lived in Toronto. One of them was recorded. I had this big closet, and so I had all my clothes and stuff in there. So I recorded one of the songs in the closet for
What was the first track? Where did you record that? Because it had such a cool kind of like a small room echo type of vibe, which I thought was very cool.
I'm trying to remember what order the songs are in, actually.
Let me tell you here.
Yeah, see if I remember.
But it's you say like the closet's actually a good place because a recording booth is usually small.
It's like an actor trick if you're doing like voiceover or something. Yeah.
And like have like coats hanging.
I always put towels behind my when I record at work, which I did a lot. I would make a little pop filter and put some towels, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Just absorb the sound like dead.
My phone.
Did your phone die? Shoot, I can look.
Yeah,
I know. I can look it up if you want.
Oh, it was just a track listing. Yeah. I mean, they all sounded really lovely in their own way. Like I feel like they all had their own quality. There was like maybe the second or third song in, your voice was like super ethereal. Like it was a really beautiful song.
Thank you.
Joel will tell us what it was.
Yeah.
I'll hand it to you, and then you can. Like,
that's okay.
You kind of like certain like.
Well, I mean, so nobody knows. That one, I feel like it had like kind of a cool echoey.
Yeah, you know what? I don't quite remember. Like I know
cool.
I one of them I changes I recorded. I believe that's one of the ones I recorded it by the lake in Toronto.
Oh, cool.
And it was pretty much like I was just kind of wrote that on the spot and wrote it, and then that was like the best take. And then I maybe like I had put it through whatever that software is. I can't think of right now. Yeah. To kind of like try to do my best to
like a mastering,
clean it up a little.
Yeah, clean up the sound a little bit. But for the most part, the rest of them were recorded in my my flat in St. John, which was like a middle flat of like a large house.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, and I tried to like have some clothes and stuff around me when recording it, but I just wanted to have something, and it kind of forced me to like finish writing some songs and be like, okay, these are.
Sometimes that's important just to like get yourself. Keep yourself moving. It's like have a project, make it into a project.
I had to do the same thing. Yeah, needed a deadline for some things. Yeah, personally. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. Like, I like if I think Joel said it was kind of vulnerable, but like you got a raw quality to it. Like I love when you can hear like a dog in the background or the trees or something. Like is that something that you had an intent behind wanting that to capture that area as well, I think it wasn't necessarily like planned, but I think like that is a little bit more my style, and obviously self-recording it, like I really just did it with my phone, so knowing that that's going to be kind of like an outcome of recording it that way, but I didn't mind to have that because the songs are pretty vulnerable, and
I don't know. I like the idea of kind of almost like, I don't know. I'm like playing for somebody in a room.
It's like intimate.
It's tender,
Yeah,
very
intimate,
tender.
yeah.
And it matches your voice well. Like it, I think it suits everything just the way it needs to. Yeah.
You're definitely the kind of singer that doesn't need a lot of bells and whistles.
No.
You're somebody who can sing, and just your voice is very sweet and pure. So
Exactly.
I think complimenting it that way. And all those songs are great. Please go check those out if you're listening, watching this. Go check out Danielle's stuff on Bandcamp. But let's talk about some of the new stuff. And so, whatever you can tell us, please tell us. Like, so, where have you been? Who have you been working with, and where have you been recording? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the songs if you'd like to.
Yeah, so I have already recorded with Dylan Ward of Shiftwork.
Shout out to Dylan.
Yeah, shout out to Dylan. He's wonderful, and it was a really, really great process working with him. So that happened last year. I got a little grant from Music New Brunswick. Thank you so much, Music New Brunswick.
Shout out Music New Brunswick.
For supporting artists.
Do support a lot of artists for sure. Right,
they do.
Yeah, I had a demo grant when I first started my own demo.
Yeah, so that's why I'm doing these 4 songs that I've recorded. They're in the mixing process right now, and I have some other. It's a bit of mix of me solo, and then some of the songs have other artists on them as well.
Okay, cool.
Like Ted Parrott,
I was
who
gonna say maybe Ted
plays with me for most of my live shows, and he's just amazing, talented in so many ways. So he's playing on 2 of the tracks, and then I have a really talented fiddle player, Keegan, that I mentioned earlier. He's playing on one of the tracks.
Oh, cool.
And then we have a little cameo by Dylan and Stefan from Marion.
Nice.
So,
awesome.
I'm really excited to release that. So
that's cool.
So what's do you have a deadline in mind? Kind of a time when you want to release it, or?
Well, I'm hoping for soon, but it's just, as probably both of you know,
it's tomorrow, because this is airing right before. By the time this makes it out, it's tomorrow. No,
you can have a deadline, and then just things,
for sure.
come up. So right now we're in the mixing process. So hoping we're sort of midway through that, and hoping that the track's going to be mixed soon. I have someone in mind to do the mastering. And the grant, my deadline, which has been extended already. Thank you so much again. Music New Brunswick. The new deadline is June, so really hoping that they can be released before the summer.
Cool. Yeah, it's always a good
Can't
time.
wait to hear them.
Oh, thank you.
Are there any things that you can tell us about the songs? Is there a theme that you kind of went with, or do you want to keep it completely hush hush and just let people?
Yeah. You don't want to get sawed. You don't want to leak out. That's a hip reference, right? Saw? Is that how you say it?
Oh my god.
Sorry.
Can't help you on that one.
I just interrupt constantly. My bad.
No.
Sleep deprived.
This will be the big news. Leaked song.
Right under
I
Saw.
got it on my phone. I'm going to play it now.
There's songs that I've played around, and they just deal with different I guess kind of like longing, love, grief. Like grief is a big theme in my songs, and we haven't really touched on that. But I will say, like, a big reason I started really going out again to open mics too was unfortunately the death of my mom in January of 2022.
Oh, so sorry to hear
thank
that.
you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was pretty rough.
You had a lot going on for a couple of years.
It's been a rough few years. But that I was like a way to really. I still am dealing with the grief. It doesn't go away, but I wrote a lot after her passing, and I think I don't know. It was like playing music just helped. So.
I hear that.
I can only imagine.
Going to open mics and being able to make friends and be around people, and then just playing music and sort of being able to express emotions that it was a big help. So that's a big theme in a lot of my songs. It's just grief and dealing with that and loneliness and.
Well, thanks for sharing all
thank
that.
you. Yeah.
That's it. And I'm sure she's very proud of you for all that you've accomplished. Yeah.
And those are things people need to be able to hear, need to be able to share, need to be able to connect with others on those things.
Yeah.
And someone like yourself who's so artistically talented to be able to take those things and for you to be vulnerable so that people who are going through it, you know, and maybe that's part of the healing too, is that others will find their healing maybe listening to what you've written and sharing in that with you and knowing that, like, you know, that's a way that we all go through kind of the same stuff from time to, you know, at some point in our lives, and that will help a lot of people, I'm sure. So.
Yeah, I hope so. And that is like the thing, you know, you think you're alone, but then so many people, and it's never exactly the same experience, but so many people have experienced like very similar, you know, the pain. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so one of the songs that I did write is really about my mom. It's like a song for her, and that is one of the songs that I recorded. And pretty much every time I play that song, I have at least one person come up to me and say, "Oh, I lost somebody as well," and you know, we kind of connect on that. And especially in the beginning, like, just, I don't know, it was I obviously so sad for people to have that loss as well, but to just feel like, okay, I'm not alone, and maybe they feel like, oh, I'm also not alone. So Yeah.
Well, I think that's a big thing that music does for people.
Oh, yeah.
And whether it is sharing in sadness or joy.
Solidarity, basically.
Yeah.
And when you hear a song and it is a communal thing. And community, I don't know how many people it takes for someone to consider it to be community, but to me it's like more than one. If it's you and another person and you play a song, even in a songwriting situation where you're like, look, I wrote this one, do you want to hear it, to like a friend you really trust, like Ted, for example, somebody, and they might say like, wow, you know what I mean? And then you've got that connection suddenly, and then it can grow from there. So music is so important to those, in those types of situations, as difficult as they are. So
pretty crazy that a complete stranger can be like moved by something. It's like, you know, a connection for, you know, that strong connection from one person to another that quickly is pretty amazing. So
it is. Well, I'm excited to hear the songs, and I think I've heard that song maybe at one of, or at least several of your open mics, and I love that song. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful song. So I'm excited to hear your EP, right? It's the EP.
Yeah.
Does it have a title?
I don't have a title yet. Okay. And again, like, there are 4 tracks, and I'm kind of like hemming and hawing, because I'm like, oh, it would be nice to have 5, you know, for the EP, but we'll see. So I'm still a little bit unsure how it's all going to be released. But
it'll come together, I'm sure. Like,
thanks,
And then you'll, like, whether it's a title, whether it's having a 5th, keeping it for whatever it will be, you'll probably feel suddenly this kind of like, that's what it is, and I'm happy with it, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe you need a secret track.
A secret track? And then when you play it in reverse, it is a recipe for a really good tomato soup.
Tomatoes and water.
I know. I said the one soup that doesn't need a recipe.
It's like a can of Heinz, or not Heinz.
The tomato recipe.
Even the one soup, Campbell's,
No, but your song, you play it in reverse. It's literally the word Heinz. It's like, that's the tomato soup.
1 can of Campbell's, 1 can of milk or water. It's your choice.
Always milk.
I go milk.
Always milk.
Creamy tomato soup.
I don't know. Water is free. Just take some tap water.
Why milk the cow when you can get the water for free?
Right?
Isn't that what they said? No.
I just do both. Milk the cow and steal the cow's water.
I can't believe you're allowed to have a cow on the north side. That's like right downtown.
You can have anything on the north side.
That's true. I can't believe
rules
that.
don't apply to the north side of the city.
Sorry.
So that's going to be great. I'm excited for that, and I want to talk a little bit about, and I don't know like what time we're at now. I think we've got another, let's say, 10 minutes or so, about the acting.
Yeah.
Because you've started doing something. So we'll kind of, to keep on the radar for what Danielle's doing, one is the release of this EP. So keep that on your radar and make sure you go check out our Bandcamp. But she's also been doing acting class.
Yeah.
And so talk to us a little bit about that and how that's been going and how that came up.
Yeah, so basically, well, I was I won't talk too much about my acting experience right now, but I was pursuing it for like 20 years of my life, and it was my passion. And then again, with the pandemic, everything just kind of got like a lot of shifts in life, and music just sort of naturally became just a way, like naturally became sort of my main outlet. But yeah, I had thought of teaching. I wanted to teach an acting class here because I don't know, I want to get back into it, and I feel I have a lot of knowledge, and I'd love to just like, I don't know, spread the knowledge. And and I was thinking about it like over a year ago, and then I was thinking, okay, I'm going to look into like renting a space and this and that, but just kind of life, like I was having a lot of shows and things come up, so it just got put to the side. And then recently I saw that Charlotte Street Art Center, they were looking for instructors, and it was wild actually, because literally the night before I put in my notes on my phone, I thought, oh yeah, I should try and like teach that acting class, and put it in the notes on my phone, like, oh, check out like venues, like, and then the next day I saw it on their Instagram, and I was like, oh, okay, so
good timing.
Often
stuff is like that.
Right? So I emailed and was like, oh, I have a idea for an acting class, and I also was interested in teaching an improv class, but they have like a really awesome like improv instructors already set up there. So but they were like, oh, we're interested in the acting class, and it's been going great. So it's 6 weeks total. We've done 3 weeks so far, and it's really fun.
I imagine
it's really cool to see like my students, they're all honestly so talented. And like seeing their instincts, and I was saying earlier, like I have these moments where I can hear my former coach's voice in my head of like things he used to say, you know, when I used to take acting class, because I did for years. I was actually curious about, you know, your background. How did you get into it? I mean, you said for a long time. Yeah. So basically I was a pretty shy kid, and but I was like a little bit interested in acting, and second doing French immersion, we had like 2 elementary schools, and the second elementary school we went to, it was just like had a very good like music program. And we did musicals, and my best friend was like the lead. Actually, grade 5 and 6, one of my best friends each were the lead in the musical, and so I had like a little bit of experience there. But then in grade 7, my mom had did some extra work on a film set, and she met some contacts, and they were running a youth acting class, and Mom was like, oh, would you like to do this? And I said, oh yeah, sure. And so that's pretty much it. So I started taking class there, and it was really fun. And it was like the first thing I ever did that was like no friends. Like I didn't know anybody in the class, and I was so shy, but like slowly came out of my shell, and I just loved it. So I just kept taking classes and doing acting in like junior high and high school, and it was just like, okay, that's it, I'm gonna be an actor. Wow. Yeah.
Hey, listen, like you can still, and I love that you're doing it again, and that's like that's the thing. Like even for me with music personally, like I took a break, a hiatus from music, and then I was like, no, I need to do music. And
oh wow,
I'm glad that you're.
That's really cool. I didn't know that, because obviously I've just known you for the last few years, and I've been pursuing music quite heavily, like that I've known you. So
yeah, for sure. I almost had the opposite situation from you, actually, because I started off not acting but like filmmaking, and my kind of goal was like, I'm gonna be a filmmaker, and then
those are Joel's.
Those are the
titles.
Some movie posters,
some of them,
stuff I've done, and then I had left, but music was always a thing too, and then after doing some film stuff, I just decided, no, I need to make music. But although film I want to return to, in television and stuff like that. So I'm definitely
how dare you.
I'm
like over here while you're talking, like
I know, me too.
I was like, oh shoot,
I had to burp. Stop giving people bubbly.
That stuff works.
But I wanted to hear what you were saying.
Oh no, I mean it's just what's cool is that, you know, I see in you that a similar thing, which is like stuff got put on a back burner, and I was like, no, these are passions. I see like in Josh, same thing, like creatives often connect for various reasons. Sometimes it's that hypersensitivity we all tend to have, and that like inability to just like not feel everything. but it's also sometimes that inability to not at least have one toe in some passion related to creating, because like it's hard when you're that type of person to not be doing something.
Yeah.
And then sometimes those things lead to being like, look, like you love acting, you love that performance art side of it. You should be doing, like, I love that you did it. I love that you said you were going to do it and you stuck with it.
Yeah, I like your resolve. You're like, I'm going to do an acting class. Like the next day, you're like, cool, I'm going to, like, I feel like I would be like, I'm going to do that. And then the opportunity would present to be like, I don't know, maybe not, you know. So that's very impressive. I really appreciate that.
Those two sides of the creative world, though, for anyone watching, you know, often a creative would have one of those responses. It would be, I want to do it, but no, or I want to do it and I'm going to do it. And like, I would, you know, kind of encourage anyone out there who's watching, you know, try to take the chance, try to like pursue something creative and step out and give it a shot, you know, like you just never know.
Worst case, you're going to make some new friends, like we've all figured out, right?
And that's it too. I was like, I just need to get out and meet people. And it was like a way that
takes
like
a lot of resolve to
forced me. Like it was like, okay, this is like a weekly thing, and it gives me reason to get out of the house because I of course worked from home. So
and that tends to be like, not to belabor that thing, but like creatives do tend to sometimes want to just turtle. And so it's good to, and often a lot of creative inspiration comes from being out and seeing other people. And then sometimes you need that. But so this acting class, it's already mid-class. So people listening, they can't obviously take this one. But how are you going to do it again? Is this something people can look for to maybe hopefully sign up for at some point? Or? Yeah,
I certainly hope so. Yeah. I mean, you have to see, I guess, with the Charlotte Street Arts Center, what they're up to, you know, in September. Because I think, I know they were looking for sort of up until May or September when I inquired. So, yeah, I would love to do it again. Like, it's really fun. And I'm learning a lot, too, like, just by watching these students. And even I thought, oh, maybe I could even do, like, one-off workshops or, like, two-weekend kind of, you know, cool. workshop over maybe 2 weekends or something. Because that's a different type of, like, learning, too. And, I don't know, a different type of, like, preparation and I don't know. So there's a lot that I can do. And it's funny too, like teaching this acting class, I had totally forgotten about this. But when I was in junior high, I had this dream to like open a performing arts, like high school or performing arts, like junior high school. Because I always wanted to go to one. But living in Halifax, I'd like, you know. Oh, man.
They have those?
Not well. I think there's maybe one more artsy school. I'm sure somebody is listening and they're going to be like, oh yeah, this school.
Name it in the comments.
Yeah. And I mean, I was very lucky that like I did go, like the schools that I went to had really good like music and drama programs. But yeah, like I would like look up online in Toronto or the States and just be like, oh, these, you know, and back when you're a kid and you think like your life is over if you don't like go to performing arts high school, you're like, I'm so behind.
But we were kind of like groomed to be like, you must do post-secondary education at all costs, right? So that's probably part of it too.
And not really arts. There wasn't a lot of push for doing any sort of arts stuff. A lot of it was like
at my school, like we had music class, and you know, we're definitely lucky to have that. I think there was drama too, but
it wasn't like post-secondary. Go pursue art, go pursue film, go pursue New Brunswick. I remember I made a film back in 2000. I think it was 2006. That's scary. Oh, it's this one.
You made a film, and I was still in grade 11.
There you go. And it was a horror film. And while we were filming downtown, like people would yell at us all the time, like, "Go to Hollywood."
Oh,
and I was like,
"You're like, I'm trying."
It's like the opposite of catcalling. They're like cat supporting.
Go somewhere else.
Oh,
well, no, yeah, it was kind of like, why are you trying to make films here?
Oh, I gotcha.
They're like, follow your dreams.
Yeah, like that mentality. Yeah, I wish it was like you should get to Hollywood, but it was more like, why you?
Yeah, no,
get out of here.
Like, get a room.
Why are you trying to make a film in New Brunswick? Like it just. Well, I mean, people would just see a camera and yell at it anyway.
Right,
But sometimes that can be the mentality to some degree around the Maritimes when it comes to, I think anywhere, unless you're maybe in like the hub of creativity, anywhere is going to kind of say like, you can't really make it in this thing. But I don't think that's true. I think people because making it is different for other people. And if you're just in your life doing things that are related to something you love, isn't that kind of making it? I don't know.
Yeah, actually, I remember this sort of like career counselor that I had back in the day when I was living in Montreal, and I was kind of like stressing out because I had my day job and my acting classes and improv. I was trying to like just more. I wanted to pursue acting, like only acting, and not have the day job. I mean, that's the dream, but there's a lot of ways to have the dream. And I remember her just saying like, "You are doing it." You are like, I was like, I want to act, and she's like, you are doing it. You're acting. You're doing this,
like
and it really did give me. It was like, wait, okay, it's okay that I have like this day job. Like, I'm actually like doing so much more than I'm giving myself credit or thinking about.
Totally, I like the way you put that. Yeah, there's different ways to get the dream, and I think that I kind of like realistically, I can't drop my job and do that, which. And I'm not sure I would want to because I got kind of lucky. Like, I make a decent amount of money and I'm really lucky that way. And so I just look at it as like, I got an income and I can still do music. So I don't care if I'm really making money at it. Although I think people should. Yeah. I definitely think it deserves that. But yeah, I think if you're banking on that, it can take a lot of the joy away from it.
Yeah. And I think like, I don't know, there is that sort of negativity around having a day job and having this creative side, but it's like they can work so well together. And
well, you need input experiences to have output, right?
And you can get a lot of joy from a job and still have joy from your creative pursuit as well. I think it's just
being able to have a place to live is a great joy.
Having food,
feeding those kids. No, but mad respect to people that are doing that for sure. But
well, I mean, we've talked for about an hour now. I think it always goes by fast.
Once you start it went by really fast.
It's just fun.
I feel like I could talk to you guys for like 3 more hours.
We do part 2.
Well, we probably will. Like everyone that we've interviewed so far, we'll probably bring them back for other interviews, and we want to keep doing this and kind of us learning, but also like,
this is totally new for me. FYI. So
it was so
thank
fun.
you for your patience.
My gosh, no, thank you.
Well, thanks for being here, and so please check out Danielle Doiron on right now Bandcamp.
Yep.
If you see in your area, because you not right now playing a lot of shows around here, but probably at some point we'll expand. And if you see a poster up and it says that she's playing near you, go see her. It's totally worth
going. Don't miss that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely don't miss that. And if you see an acting class that she's putting on, go to that. I want to work with you in the future.
I hope we can do something. I would love that
creatively together because I think that'd be a lot of fun. And I want to take one of your dang when you said you're going to do an improv class, I was like, I would love that so much.
I would love
to teach improv as well. They have such a great like thing going, so I would never want to encroach there, but there's other spots maybe I could teach because we didn't even touch on that, but I've done so much improv, and
I feel like there's so much we probably didn't touch on out of Danielle's creative repertoire.
We're gonna have to do it in segments.
Exactly. Chapter 2.
I'd love. When I saw your acting class thing, I was like, I want to do that.
I think I talked to you about it too.
I don't feel like I love I love film and I love the whole process. I love the bloopers. I love just, it looks fun to be on a set and doing a comedy. Everyone just seems to be having like the best time. So to me, that was always really appealing. So I think there's definitely a side of me that would love to do improv. And I like the idea of you be like, hey, I could just do some one-offs, weekends. For me, in my type of schedule, that works really well. I probably can't make every class of a 6-week, just with my weird shifts and stuff.
No,
so
totally.
I think those one-offs would be awesome.
It's really good feedback, and like even for myself too, like it would be fun to, because the class, I'm so happy to do it, but that's like the 6-week commitment for myself as well, which I'm happy to do. But if there's other moments, here and there where I could just do a weekend or 2 weekends or something.
Intro to acting. For insecure adults. Not me. They're out there.
You just want to help those who are. Not you.
I don't have that problem.
No. Well, that's awesome. We'll keep an eye out for that, and you should too if you're listening or watching. And thanks for checking this out. Please, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, like, share. If you've been listening on CHSR, thank you to CHSR.
Thank you so much. Support them.
Yes.
They are like the last bastion of free speech in this planet. Not to get too cray, but it's they're really important for that type of stuff. So
yeah, they're great.
We appreciate them.
Absolutely. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. This has been Show Us Your Insides. I'm Joel.
I'm Josh.
And we will see you, hear you. You'll hear us on the next one.
I'll be interrupting you soon.